The Galactic Decree. The vast expanse of space stretched out before the viewport of the UES horizon, Earth's flagship and pride of the United Earth Fleet. Admiral Sarah Chen stood with her hands clasped behind her back, her dark eyes scanning the star-studded void. The ship had just emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Andromeda Galaxy, responding to an urgent summons from the Galactic Council. "Admiral," a young officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the council chambers." Chen nodded, her face a mask of calm despite the tension that gripped her chest. "Put it through to the main screen, Lieutenant." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the imposing figure of High Counselor Zaxnar, a being of pure energy contained within a translucent, humanoid form. His voice resonated through the bridge, a symphony of harmonics that sent shivers down the spines of the human crew. "Greetings, Admiral Chen. We appreciate your prompt response to our call." Chen inclined her head respectfully. "High Counselor, it's an honor. How may Earth be of assistance?" Zaxinar's form pulsed with an array of colors, a sign of agitation that Chen had learned to recognize over years of diplomatic interactions. "Admiral, we have summoned you to deliver a warning. A decree from the Galactic Council that must be heeded." The Admiral's eyebrows rose slightly, but she maintained her composure. "I'm listening, High Counselor. A conflict has erupted between the Vexari Imperium and the Sylphan Collective," Zaxinar explained, his voice grave. "It threatens to engulf entire sectors of the galaxy. The Council has decided that, for the safety of all species involved, Earth and its colonies must remain neutral in this war." Chen's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "With all due respect, High Counselor, Earth has always been a proponent of peace and stability in the galaxy. Surely our diplomatic course cold." "No, Admiral," Zaxinar interrupted, his form flashing a deep crimson. "The Council's decision is final. Humanity must stay out of this conflict. Any intervention, no matter how well-intentioned, could have catastrophic consequences." The warning hung in the air like a physical presence, heavy and foreboding. Chen's mind raced with questions and implications, but she knew better than to challenge the Council's decree openly. "I understand, High Counselor. I will convey this message to Earth's leadership immediately." Zaxinar's form softened to a gentler blue. "We appreciate your cooperation, Admiral. The galaxy remembers well the unexpected outcomes of previous human interventions. It is best for all if you focus on your own affairs for now." As the transmission ended, Chen turned to her second-in-command, Commander Alexei Volkov. "Set a course for Earth, maximum speed. We need to brief the Security Council as soon as possible." Volkov nodded, his weathered face creased with concern. "Do you think they're hiding something from us, Admiral?" Chen's eyes narrowed as she gazed back out at the stars. "Almost certainly, Alexei. The question is, what?" Back on Earth, the United Earth Security Council convened in an emergency session. The chamber, a marvel of architecture nestled within the heart of New Geneva, buzzed with tension as Admiral Chen delivered her report. President Adaman Kruma, a tall man with a commanding presence, leaned forward in his seat. "So the Galactic Council wants us to sit idly by while two of the most powerful factions in the galaxy tear each other apart." Chen nodded grimly. "That's the essence of it, Mr. President. They were quite emphatic about our non-intervention." Dr. Yuki Tanaka, Earth's foremost xenobiologist, spoke up. "But surely they realize that a conflict of this scale will inevitably affect human colonies in the outer sectors. We can't simply ignore it." "I agree," rumbled General Hassan al-Rashid, his voice deep and resonant. "This smells like a setup. They're either testing us or trying to keep us out of something big." President Nkrumah stood, pacing the length of the council table. "The question is, do we comply with their decree, or do we find a way to protect our interests without openly defying the council?" A hush fell over the room as the implications of either choice weighed heavily on everyone's minds. It was Dr. Elena Rodriguez, head of Earth's Covert Operations Division, who broke the silence. "Mr. President, members of the Council, I believe I have a solution that might allow us to thread this needle." All eyes turned to Rodriguez, a petite woman whose unassuming appearance belied a razor-sharp intellect. "We have assets in place throughout the galaxy. Deep cover operatives, stealth ships, and monitoring stations that even the Council doesn't know about," Rodriguez explained, her eyes glinting with determination. "I propose we activate these resources to gather intelligence on the conflict and protect our colonies covertly." General al-Rashid leaned forward, intrigued. "A shadow operation. It's risky, but if we're careful, it could give us the information we need without openly violating the Council's decree." Chen finished, a spark of hope igniting in her chest. President Nkrumah nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. "Dr. Rodriguez, how quickly can you mobilize these assets?" "Within 48 hours, Mr. President. We have a stealth corvette, the Phantom, ready for immediate deployment. Captain Maya Ortiz and her crew are our best covered operators." The President's gaze swept across the faces of his advisors, reading the mixture of concern and determination in their eyes. "Very well. Admiral Chen, work with Dr. Rodriguez to coordinate this operation. We need eyes and ears on the ground as soon as possible." As the meeting adjourned, Chen caught up with Rodriguez in the hallway. "Elena, are you sure about this? If the Council discovers what we're doing..." Rodriguez's lips curved into a wry smile. "They won't, Sarah. And even if they suspect, they'll have no proof. Besides, when has humanity ever backed down from a challenge?" Chen couldn't help but return the smile. "Fair point. I just hope we're not biting off more than we can chew this time." Little did they know, as Earth's leaders set their plans in motion, that forces beyond their comprehension were stirring in the depths of space. The conflict between the Vexari and the Sylphan was merely the surface of a cosmic drama that had been unfolding for millennia. On a distant world, hidden from the prying eyes of both the warring factions and the Galactic Council, an ancient being stirred in its slumber. Eyes that had been closed for eons slowly opened, glowing with an otherworldly light. "The time has come," it thought, its consciousness reaching out across the stars. "The pawns are in place. Let the true game begin." As the UEA's Phantom slipped silently from its secret berth on Luna, cloaked and undetectable, Captain Maya Ortiz felt a shiver run down her spine. She couldn't shake the feeling that this mission would change everything. Not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. "Helm, set course for the Vexari-Sylphan border," she ordered, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "It's time to see what's really going on out there." The Phantom's engines hummed to life, propelling the ship into the vast unknown. As Earth receded behind them, Ortiz and her crew steeled themselves for whatever challenges lay ahead. They were humanity's silent guardians, venturing into the heart of a cosmic storm that threatened to engulf them all. Little did they know, their actions would soon set in motion a chain of events that would reshape the very fabric of galactic civilization and test the limits of human ingenuity and courage in ways they could never have imagined. Operation Silent Guardian. The UES Phantom glided through the inky blackness of space, its advanced cloaking technology rendering it invisible to both visual sensors and energy scans. Captain Maya Ortiz stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed their approach to the Vexari-Sylphan border. "Status report," she commanded, her voice low but carrying the unmistakable tone of authority. Lieutenant Raj Patel, the ship's sensor officer, responded without taking his eyes off his console. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're maintaining full cloak and radio silence. No sign of detection by either Vexari or Sylphan patrols." Ortiz nodded, a hint of satisfaction crossing her features. The Phantom was the pinnacle of human stealth technology, a ship that could slip through the most heavily guarded sectors unnoticed. But even with their advanced capabilities, the tension on the bridge was palpable. They were deep in forbidden territory, defying not only the warring alien factions, but the decree of the Galactic Council itself. "Dr. Ilara, What can you tell us about the conflict we're walking into? Ortiz asked, turning to the ship's cynoanthropologist. Dr. Sophia Ilara, a willowy woman with piercing green eyes, stepped forward. The Vexeri Imperium and the Sylphan Collective have been at odds for centuries, Captain. The Vexeri are a militaristic, hierarchical society that values strength and conquest. The Sylphan, on the other hand, are a hive-mind species that prioritizes collective knowledge and technological advancement. And now they're at each other's throats, Ortiz mused. Any idea what sparked this particular conflict? Ilara shook her head. That's one of the mysteries we're here to solve. Both sides claim the other initiated hostilities, but our intelligence suggests there might be a third party involved, one that neither the combatants nor the Galactic Council is aware of. As if on cue, Lieutenant Patel's console lit up with a series of urgent alerts. Captain, we're picking up massive energy signatures ahead. It looks like we've stumbled onto a battle in progress. Ortiz leaned forward, her heart racing. On screen, maximum magnification. The holographic display shifted, revealing a breathtaking and terrifying sight. Two massive fleets clashed against the backdrop of a binary star system. The Vexeri ships, sleek and predatory, darted through space with astonishing agility. They unleashed salvos of energy weapons that crackled with destructive power. The Sylphan vessels, by contrast, were vast, organic-looking constructs that seemed to pulse with an inner light. They moved in perfect synchronization, their weapons weaving intricate patterns of devastation. "My God," whispered Commander Jack Morrison, Ortiz's second-in-command. "The level of technology we're seeing here, it's beyond anything in our databanks." Ortiz's mind raced as she assessed the situation. Their mission was to gather intelligence, not to engage. But as she watched the battle unfold, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more going on than met the eye. Dr. Ilara, analyze those energy signatures. Is there anything unusual about this engagement? The xenanthropologist worked feverishly at her station, her brow furrowed in concentration. After a few tense moments, she looked up, her face pale. "Captain, I'm detecting anomalies in the weapon signatures of both fleets. There's an underlying energy pattern that doesn't match either Vexeri or Sylphan technology. It's as if their weapons have been augmented by some external force." A chill ran down Ortiz's spine. "Are you saying someone's been giving them both advanced weaponry?" "It's worse than that," Ilara replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "The energy signature, it's changing them. Every shot fired is altering the molecular structure of both the ships and their crews. It's like nothing I've ever seen before." The implications were staggering. If someone was manipulating both sides of the conflict, escalating it while transforming the combatants into something new, the consequences for the entire galaxy could be catastrophic. "We need to get closer," Ortiz decided, her jaw set with determination. "Helm, take us in. Maintain cloak, but be ready to raise shields at a moment's notice." As the Phantom edged closer to the raging battle, the crew worked in tense silence, gathering every scrap of data they could. Suddenly, a massive explosion rocked the nearby space, sending out a shockwave of energy that washed over the ship. "Report," Ortiz barked, steadying herself against her command chair. "Cloak is holding, but that was close." Patel responded, his fingers flying over his console. "Captain, I'm picking up a distress signal. It's on an old Earth frequency." Ortiz's eyes widened in disbelief. "What? That's impossible. Put it through." A burst of static filled the bridge, followed by a desperate voice crackling through the speakers. "To any human ships in range, this is Dr. Marcus Chen of the research vessel Galileo. We are under attack, and our systems are failing. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need immediate evacuation." A stunned silence fell over the bridge. Dr. Chen was one of Earth's most brilliant physicists, believed to have been lost on a deep space expedition years ago. His presence here, in the middle of an alien war, changed everything. Ortiz knew that revealing themselves could jeopardize their entire mission and potentially violate the Council's decree. But the thought of abandoning fellow humans to their fate was unthinkable. "Plot an intercept course," she ordered, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her mind. "Prepare for emergency extraction, and someone get me a secure line to Earth. We're going to need backup." As the Phantom surged forward, its cloak still intact, Ortiz couldn't shake the feeling that they were stepping into something far bigger than they had anticipated. The mystery of the augmented weapons, the presence of Dr. Chen, and the Council's insistence on human non-intervention. It all pointed to a conspiracy of galactic proportions. Little did they know, their decision to intervene would set in motion a chain of events that would not only change the course of the war, but also unveil a threat to the very fabric of the universe itself. In the darkness of space, unnoticed by the battling fleets or the human interlopers, an ancient vessel stirred to life. Its surface, etched with symbols that predated the birth of stars, pulsed with an eerie light. Within its cavernous interior, a being older than time itself opened eyes that had been closed for eons. At last, it whispered, its voice echoing through corridors that had never known the touch of mortal feet. "The pieces are in place. Let the true war begin." As the Phantom raced towards the stricken Galileo, Captain Ortiz and her crew steeled themselves for what lay ahead. They had come seeking answers, but instead found themselves on the brink of a discovery that would shake the foundations of the galaxy. The silent guardians of Earth were about to make a very loud entrance onto the cosmic stage, and the universe would never be the same again. The UEA's Phantom shimmered into visibility as it dropped its cloak, materializing beside the battered hull of the Galileo. The rescue operation was swift and precise, a testament to the crew's training and Captain Ortiz's leadership. Within minutes, Dr. Marcus Chen and his small team of researchers were safely aboard, their eyes wide with a mixture of relief and lingering terror. As the Phantom retreated from the battle zone, its cloak re-engaging, Ortiz met with Chen in the ship's conference room. The physicist looked haggard, his once neat beard now wild and unkempt, his eyes haunted by what he had witnessed. "Dr. Chen," Ortiz began, her voice gentle but firm, "I need you to tell me everything. What were you doing out here, in the middle of a war zone?" Chen ran a shaky hand through his hair. "Captain, what I'm about to tell you will sound impossible, but I swear it's the truth. We didn't come here by choice. We were summoned." Ortiz leaned forward, her brow furrowing. "Summoned? By whom?" "Not whom," Chen replied, his voice barely above a whisper. "What? We discovered something out there, Captain. Something ancient. Something that predates not just humanity, but possibly life itself in this galaxy." As Chen spoke, the lights in the conference room flickered, as if in response to his words. He pulled out a small device from his pocket, its surface covered in strange, shifting symbols. "This is a key," he explained, "a key to unlocking secrets that have been hidden for billions of years. We found it on a dead world, deep in uncharted space. As soon as we activated it, our ship was transported here." Dr. Ilara, who had been silently observing, spoke up. "Dr. Chen, are you saying this device is connected to the anomalies we've detected in the Vexery and Sylphon weapons?" Chen nodded grimly. "It's all connected. The war, the advanced technology, even the Galactic Council's insistence on keeping humanity out of the conflict. They're all pieces of a puzzle that's been in the making since the dawn of time." Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared to life. Lieutenant Patel's voice came over the intercom, tight with urgency. "Captain, we're detecting a massive energy surge. Something's happening out there." Ortiz and her team rushed to the bridge, Chen in tow. The main view screen showed a sight that defied comprehension. At the heart of the battle zone, space itself seemed to be tearing apart. A rift of swirling energy expanded, dwarfing even the largest ships of the alien fleets. "My God," Chen breathed. "It's happening. They're awakening." From the rift emerged a vessel of impossible proportions. It was angular and alien, its surface adorned with the same shifting symbols that covered Chen's device. As it fully materialized, both the Vexari and Sylphan fleets ceased fire, as if stunned into inaction by its presence. "What is that thing?" Ortiz demanded, her voice hushed with awe and fear. Chen's reply sent a chill through everyone on the bridge. "That, Captain, is a ship of the Precursors, the beings who seeded our galaxy with life, who shaped the very laws of physics to their will. And now, after eons of slumber, they've returned." As if in response to Chen's words, a transmission cut through all frequencies, bypassing the Phantom's most sophisticated encryption. A voice, ancient and powerful, resonated not just through the ship's speakers, but seemingly in the minds of all aboard. "Children of the stars," it intoned, its words somehow understood by all despite no recognizable language being used. "Your quarrels are meaningless. Your evolution has been disappointing. The experiment must be reset." Ortiz felt a cold dread settle in her stomach. "Reset? What does that mean?" Chen's face had gone pale. "It means they're going to wipe the slate clean. Erase all life in the galaxy and start over, just as they've done countless times before." The enormity of the situation crashed down on them. This wasn't just a war between alien races. This was a fight for the very survival of all life in the galaxy. "We need to warn Earth," Ortiz said, her mind racing. "No, we need to warn everyone. The Vexari, the Sylphan, the Galactic Council. If we don't stand together, we're all doomed." As the precursor ship began to move, its very presence warping the fabric of space-time, Ortiz made a decision that would alter the course of galactic history. "Plot a course for the nearest Galactic Council outpost," she ordered, "and prepare a broadcast on all frequencies. It's time humanity took its place on the galactic stage." Chen nodded, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. "Captain, if we can decipher the rest of the information in this key, we might find a way to stop them, but we'll need help." Ortiz smiled grimly. "Then let's go get it. The galaxy's about to learn what happens when you back humanity into a corner." As the Phantom leaped into hyperspace, carrying with it the hopes of countless civilizations, the true battle for the future of the galaxy was about to begin. Humanity, once warned to stay out of the conflict, now found itself at the very center of a war that would determine the fate of all life. The ancient awakening had begun, and the universe would never be the same again. Humanity's stand. The news of the Precursor's return spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Initially met with disbelief and skepticism, the truth became undeniable as the ancient being's massive ship cut a swath of destruction through both Vexari and Sylphan territories. The Galactic Council, once so adamant about keeping humanity out of the conflict, now found itself facing a threat beyond its comprehension. On Earth, the United Earth Defense Force mobilized with unprecedented speed. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before a holographic display of the galaxy, her face etched with determination as she addressed the assembled leaders of humanity's colonies and allies. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, her voice steady despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders, "we face an enemy unlike any we've encountered before. The Precursors seek to reset our galaxy, wiping out all life in the process. Our survival, and the survival of every sentient species, depends on what we do next." President Nkrumah stepped forward, his eyes scanning the faces of those gathered, both in person and via hologram. "We've already reached out to the Vexari Imperium and the Sylphan Collective. Despite our past differences, they've agreed to a temporary alliance. Even now, their fleets are converging to make a stand against the precursor ship." Dr. Elena Rodriguez, her usual calm demeanor replaced by fierce intensity, spoke up. "We've been analyzing the data from Dr. Chen's key. It's revealed weaknesses in the Precursor's technology, weaknesses we can exploit. But to do so, we'll need to get close to their ship." "Which is where we come in," General Hassan al-Rashid rumbled, his holographic form towering over the others. We've retrofitted our entire fleet with the shield modifications derived from the key's data. It won't make us invulnerable, but it should give us a fighting chance." Admiral Chen nodded, her gaze sweeping across the assembled leaders. "Our plan is threefold. First, a joint Vexari-Sylphan fleet will engage the precursor ship, drawing its attention. Second, a specially modified team of human ships will attempt to penetrate its defenses and deliver a payload designed to disrupt its core systems. Finally, Dr. Chen and a team of our best scientists will attempt to use the key to communicate with the precursors, to reason with them if possible." The room fell silent as the enormity of the task ahead sank in. It was President Nkrumah who broke the silence, his voice ringing with resolve. "We've spent centuries exploring the stars, pushing the boundaries of what's possible. Now we face our greatest challenge yet. But remember this, humanity has always thrived in the face of adversity. Today, we fight not just for ourselves, but for every sentient being in this galaxy. Today, we prove that we belong among the stars." A chorus of cheers and affirmations filled the room. The die was cast. Humanity was going to war. In the days that followed, the galaxy witnessed an unprecedented mobilization. Ships from 100 worlds converged on the coordinates where the precursor vessel was predicted to appear next. The once warring Vexari and Sylphan fleets now flew side by side, their differences set aside in the face of extinction. Aboard the UES Defiant, the flagship of Earth's contribution to the Allied fleet, Captain Maya Ortiz stood on the bridge, her crew at battle stations. Beside her, Dr. Marcus Chen worked feverishly at a console, the enigmatic key integrated into the ship's systems. "All ships report ready, Captain," Commander Morrison announced, his voice tense but steady. Ortiz nodded, her eyes fixed on the view screen. "Then we wait, and pray our intel is correct." They didn't have to wait long. Space itself seemed to warp and twist as the precursor ship phased into existence. It dwarfed even the largest Vexari dreadnoughts, its surface crackling with energy that defied the laws of physics as they understood them. "All ships, commence attack pattern Alpha." Admiral Chen's voice rang out across the comm channels. May fortune favor the bold. The battle that followed would be remembered for generations to come. The Allied fleet swarmed the precursor ship, their weapons blazing. Vexari fighters darted between the larger vessels, their agility allowing them to avoid the devastating energy beams the ancient ship fired in retaliation. Sylphan cruisers moved in perfect synchronization, their hive mind allowing for tactics of mind-boggling complexity. And at the heart of it all, a small group of human ships, led by the Defiant, pushed forward. Their modified shields flickered and sparked as they absorbed punishment that would have vaporized them otherwise. "We're approaching the designated coordinates," Ortiz announced, her knuckles white as she gripped her command chair. "Dr. Chen, are you ready?" Chen nodded, sweat beading on his brow. "As ready as I'll ever be, Captain." Initiating transmission. Now. The key pulsed with otherworldly light as Chen activated it. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, suddenly, the Defiant shuddered as if struck by an invisible force. "Captain," Lieutenant Patel cried out, "we're being pulled in. Some kind of tractor beam." Ortiz's mind raced. This wasn't part of the plan. But it might be their only chance. "All hands, brace for impact. Prepare for possible boarding action." As the Defiant was drawn inexorably towards the massive precursor ship, the battle raged around them. The Allied fleet fought with desperate valor, but for every blow they landed, the ancient vessel seemed to grow stronger. Inside the precursor ship, in a chamber that defied Euclidean geometry, the being that had slumbered for eons stirred. Its consciousness, vast beyond human comprehension, focused on the tiny vessel it had captured. "Interesting," it mused, its thoughts resonating through the very structure of its ship. "These humans, they are not as we remember. Perhaps they are worthy of closer examination." As the Defiant breached the outer hull of the precursor ship, Captain Ortiz and her crew steeled themselves for whatever lay ahead. They had come seeking to save the galaxy, but now found themselves at the very heart of the threat they sought to defeat. The fate of all life hung in the balance, and humanity's stand was about to face its ultimate test. A new dawn for the galaxy. The interior of the precursor ship defied description. Corridors shifted and realigned themselves as Captain Ortiz led her team deeper into the alien vessel. Dr. Chen walked beside her, the key pulsing rhythmically in his hand, seemingly guiding them through the impossible geometry. "Any idea where we're going, Doctor?" Ortiz asked, her voice hushed in the eerie stillness. Chen shook his head, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and awe. "The key is leading us somewhere, Captain. I believe it's taking us to the heart of the ship, to the precursors themselves." As they pressed on, the battle outside raged with increasing intensity. The Allied fleet fought valiantly, but the precursor ship's defenses seemed endless. For every small victory they achieved, a dozen ships were lost. Admiral Chen's voice crackled over the comms, strained but determined. "Captain Ortiz, whatever you're going to do in there, do it fast. We can't hold out much longer." Ortiz acknowledged the message grimly. The weight of entire civilizations rested on their shoulders. Failure was not an option. Finally, they reached what appeared to be the ship's control center. A vast, pulsating orb of energy hung suspended in the center of the chamber. Around it, ethereal forms shimmered in and out of existence, the precursors in their true form. One of the beings coalesced into a more solid shape, towering over the humans. Its voice, when it spoke, seemed to bypass their ears and resonate directly in their minds. "You have come far, children of Earth," it intoned. "Your persistence is unexpected." Ortiz stepped forward, her chin held high despite her racing heart. "We've come to negotiate. On behalf of all life in this galaxy, we ask you to reconsider your plans for reset." The being's form flickered, a gesture that might have been curiosity or amusement. "Negotiate. You stand before beings who shape the very stars, and you wish to negotiate." Dr. Chen stepped forward, holding up the key. "We understand more than you think. This key, it's not just a tool. It's a record of your history, your failures, your regrets." The chamber fell silent. Even the distant sounds of battle seemed muted. The precursor's form pulsed with an intensity that made the human skin tingle. "You have glimpsed our past," it acknowledged, "but you cannot comprehend the weight of eons, the responsibility of shaping life itself. Then help us understand." Ortiz pressed. "You created life in this galaxy. You watched it grow, evolve. Surely you must see the value in what we've become." The being's form shifted, expanding to encompass the entire chamber. Images flashed around them: the birth of stars, the rise and fall of civilizations, conflicts that spanned millennia. "We have seen countless cycles," the precursor explained. "Always, life turns to conflict. Always, it destroys itself. The reset is not cruelty. It is mercy." Chen's eyes lit up with sudden understanding. "But that's just it. Conflict, struggle, they're not flaws in your design. They're the driving force of evolution, of progress." He held up the key, which now glowed with an intensity that matched the precursor's energy. "Your own history shows it. You faced challenges, overcame them, and grew. That's what you encoded in this key. Not just knowledge, but the very essence of advancement through adversity." The chamber hummed with energy as the precursor considered their words. Outside, the battle reached a fever pitch. The Allied fleet, battered but unbroken, launched a final, desperate assault. In that moment, something shifted. The precursor's form coalesced into a shape almost human, its voice taking on a new tone, one of revelation. Perhaps we have been too hasty in our judgment," it mused. "You have shown resourcefulness, courage, and wisdom beyond our expectations." Ortiz saw their chance and seized it. "Then give us a chance to prove ourselves. Not just humanity, but all the life in this galaxy. We may surprise you. For what seemed like an eternity, the precursor was silent. Then, slowly, it nodded. Very well. We will observe, but not interfere. Your fate is in your own hands now. With those words, the energy in the chamber surged. Ortiz and her team found themselves back aboard the Defiant, which was now safely outside the precursor ship. Around them, the battle had ceased. The massive alien vessel shimmered and faded, disappearing from normal spacetime. In the days that followed, the galaxy struggled to come to terms with what had transpired. The Vexari and Sylphan, bonded by their shared struggle against extinction, began the long process of making peace. The Galactic Council, humbled by the experience, invited Earth to take a permanent seat at the table. As for humanity, they emerged from the crucible of near annihilation with a new sense of purpose. They had faced the oldest and most powerful beings in the universe and held their ground. The stars, once a distant dream, now beckoned with endless possibilities. On the observation deck of the newly christened Earth Embassy on the Galactic Council's homeworld, Admiral Sarah Chen stood beside President Nkrumah, gazing out at the glittering expanse of space. "Do you think we'll see them again?" Nkrumah asked, his voice quiet. Chen smiled, her eyes reflecting the starlight. "Unsure of it, but next time, we'll be ready. We'll show them a galaxy united, diverse, and thriving. We'll show them that their faith in us wasn't misplaced." As they watched, a shooting star streaked across the sky, a reminder of the vast, beautiful, and sometimes dangerous universe that was now their playground and their responsibility. The dawn of a new era had begun. Humanity had not just found its place among the stars. It had earned it, and the greatest adventures were yet to come.